Hi everyone, I'm Devleena, your host, welcoming you all to another action-packed episode of Icons Behind Brand interview series, the CXO Spotlight, where we are going to talk with some top-notch leading minds in the business. And I'm excited to have our guest for today, a soft-spoken yet assertive, passionate about teaching young minds about business as well as life, worked with various multinational companies like Infosys, SAP, Adobe in top positions such as Chief Marketing Officer and Head of Marketing. Also a member of Harvard Business Review Advisory Council. I welcome Mr. Sunder Madakshira, who is the CEO of Rezolve Ltd. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Sunder.
Yeah, thanks, Devleena. That was very kind of you. A very warm introduction. Very excited to be in this program, which is called Icons Behind Brands. I'm not sure whether icons, I'm an icon, but it's behind brand for sure.
I'm sure, Mr. Sundar, and I'm so excited to speak to you because the kind of conversation we had off camera and the kind of experience which you have, I have gone through with your profile. I'm really excited to know how you balance yourself, being in such top positions in the multinational companies like Adobe, SAP. I mean, it's a vast experience. So I would love to know, in fact, our viewers would love to know this 25 years in the field of sales, marketing, leadership roles. So tell us more about your journey and about your background and what are the changes and challenges been so far, over the period of time. I'm sure it would be a roller coaster ride and adventurous ride for you.
It's been a very enriching experience for me, working across different industries and different brands in so many different geographies across the world, and so many different cultures. So inherently, I think if you love human beings and people, you will love marketing, because ultimately it's all about reading and being understanding the human mind that marketing is all about. So if you roll back, I think about 26 years back, I started my career as a industrial engineer with Caterpillar, which made diesel engines. Yeah, it's a manufacturing company, and I worked in industrial engineering department there for a few years. Then I moved to the export marketing division of that company, and then I did my B school with the TAPI Management Institute, Tapni, Manipal, and then I got into Hindustan Levers, what is now called Unilever India, as area sales manager in the beverages division, and then later on with I used to be the brand manager for Close Up. Since then, of course, it's been many organizations like you mentioned, SAP, Infosys, Wipro, Adobe, till very recently, and now I'm heading the India operations for Rezolve. Very interesting journey, very something that I have treasured. I have learned a lot. I think I'm very fortunate enough to have worked with some of the best brands and best brand managers across the world, and I've learned so much from each one of them. Each situation has been very different. It's not been the repeat of the same thing, but been fortunate enough that every new job has taught me something new very significantly in the field of business and marketing. So very exciting journey, in which where I now find myself with Rezolve, again working with marketers. I think the interesting thing about marketing, which I found, and that's why probably I decided to work with this company, is the fact that I'm very, very passionate about marketing. And here I get an opportunity to help marketers get even better at their marketing programs.
Superb. And what is my takeaway from your journey and background? So, see, you said if you love people, you will love marketing, right? And this is such a simple line which you said, and this is simplifying the whole marketing concept. You just have to know people and to love people, and that is how you can understand what exactly their needs are and you can address that. Wow, amazing. And Mr. Sundar, would be great if you just speak about what Rezolve Limited does for our viewers' benefit. It would just help to understand it better.
You've heard about how the marketing world has sort of changed over the years, right? And one of the things that has happened is there's a big challenge which is in front of marketers, which is how do they actually ensure that they provide the best customer experience to their customers, right? And how do you create that frictionless digital experience? The other thing which has happened, and this is which is something that everybody definitely knows, is that the usage of digital marketing tools, platforms, has seen a very, very steep growth in the last 15 years. But I can safely say we've just got started. We've got a long way to go. So what Rezolve does is that it is an enterprise SaaS platform which has been designed grounds up to specifically to mobile commerce and engagement. And the platform allows merchants and brands to convert media information into an interactive experience on a mobile device, which can drive many meaningful increases in consumer engagement and purchase activity. So it's a platform which helps to really understand who your customers are, where are they, and what are they doing, and how can you enjoy sort of engage with them as a brand going forward. So this is absolutely exciting for me to be introducing, I would say, a new category of product. There's no competition for this product as such from any other company. So it's a new category, it's a new usage of a digital marketing platform. So and it's on mobile. And when you think about mobile, there's another word which comes to your mind, which is India. I think mobile and India are synonymous. So I Rezolve has got infinite opportunities. What we would like to say, I think we are only going to be limited by our own imagination about what all is possible with Rezolve.
Right, and the way technology is influencing marketing, and marketing is shaping up in a next level because of the influence of technology. And I'm sure when marketers can use it in the mobile, it is like even more in your comfort zone, in your ease. So I'm sure it is going to help in a magical way to the marketing world, right? So
Absolutely.
One of your facet is you love teaching, right? You are a part of Harvard Business Review Advisory Council and many other B school as well. When I spoke to you, I understood that you are just passionate about teaching. So according to your experience, how does teaching helps you to become a better leader?
One of the fundamental facets of a good leader is when he can coach. I wouldn't like to use the word teach, but when he can coach. There are two different things. I think the ability to suggest different ways in which your team member could actually work, and prod him in that or her in that direction is going to be important. You can't be teaching people. That's not the job of a leader, but it's about inspiring people about something which is really interesting, and get them to think about things in new ways and make them more effective. So if you look at just go back to your school days, Devleena, and just recollect who are your favorite teachers. They're not people who coerced you to learn something and write an exam and pass the exam, but people who genuinely influenced you to like and fall in love with the subject that you were studying. It could be a mathematics teacher telling you the beauty of mathematics. It could be a science teacher telling you about how beautiful the world is when you look at it, when you look at a flower, for example. Or it could be just being able to appreciate great poetry in an English poetry class. I think, learning a new chand in a Hindi, poetry class is something which is always inspiring. They didn't teach you all the poems in the world. They didn't teach you everything about science in their world, but whenever you think about that particular subject, even though they don't teach that subject going forward, you're still very, very, you fall in love with the subject. Similarly, I think the role of a leader is like that. I think to be able to influence the person to think in different ways, also find out why is somebody not able to perform if he's not able to perform. At the same time, let that person have his or her individuality. We are all different. We are all different from each other. You cannot make one person, like think exactly like the other person. So if two people are very different and they come with their own strengths, it's a shame if a leader does not use the strength of his team members, but instead, always thinks about, oh my God, I've got to correct this guy. Like that person is in some kind of therapy. So I think it's as a teacher, when I teach at these schools, it gives me that kind of empathy to also teach, to share whatever little I've learned and get them to be excited about the world of marketing and say, okay, yeah, this is where I want my future career to be. That when you're a teacher, you're also a very good learner, because you've got to keep learning. On the same subject that I've been teaching for 20 years, there's so many of my students who keep coming back to me every time, and they come back and give new perspective which even I wouldn't have thought about, or for that matter, what a textbook will not provide. So, and then you say, hey, this is a new way of learning. So it helps me to keep in touch with whatever the younger generation of today is thinking about world, thinking about business, thinking about consumers, thinking about marketing, and thinking in general, is something which is fascinating to me. So when I teach, I don't know how much my students learn, but I learn a lot for sure.
Amazing. So I have read somewhere, if you want to know the subject even deeper, start teaching. 90% your brain absorbs that subject when you start teaching, because you go ahead with your research and other things, and you grasp a lot of knowledge from the peers, from the students. And I think that is a best way, is like teach to learn. And when you the definition, the simplified definition which you give me just now, go back to your school, I actually went back and I was visualizing all my teachers, and it reminded me some of my teachers, and I realized that yeah, they are the person who helped me shaping my life. Now also, they have a contribution what I am today. So I think the transformers, the mentors and coach, that is where the mentors come in the picture, the best mentors. So coming to your work experience again, Mr. Sundar, like you have worked with B2C, B2B, all kind of markets, right? So when we compare it, B2B and B2C markets, they have several similarities, but they also have huge differences. Like, it's even more deeper. So how, tell us something like, what are the similarities, how similar it is, and what are the differences?
To me, I think, what happens with coming to what are the similarities is that as a marketer, you always are looking to achieve the same thing, which is grow your brand, make it relevant for your customer, understand what your customer wants, deliver the product or the service to them, in the manner that they would want, and the manner in which he or she can pay. So that sort of remains common. A lot of things that you want to achieve as end objectives, which when we quantify it as brand awareness, it is about revenues. If it's about popularity or profitability, it's about the number of subscribers. You could have any way to measure it, but again, these are very common between B2B and B2C. I think the other thing which remains common is that the effort that you put to message to them, to identify them, identify who your customers are and serve them, all this remains very, very similar. But where the differences come is that typically in a B2B scenario, your customers are few. There aren't that many customers, right? It's very focused about who your customers are. Whereas in many B2C scenarios, your customer set tends to be very large. Second thing also is that B2B products tend to be typically more technical in nature. So the way you explain a product, let's say you're explaining a particular software or a particular platform, or it could be, even talking about, a certain new technology, new feature that has been there. All that, the communication is very technical. It's very business oriented. It's a lot to do with ROI, focusing on the return on investment the customer is going to get by using your product. That's what they are looking at. But in a B2C scenario, you tend to become a little more broad based because your customers are all over the place. Anybody and everybody, you can be in your consumer set, in your target audience, of course. So the way you reach them is sometimes use of mass media. But with the advent of the digital technology, you will use a lot of digital technology where you are reaching out to a larger set of consumers. Also, I think what happens is the sales cycle, the total time that it takes to get customers to buy is much higher in a B2B scenario. So you got to work over a period of time, understand your customer's journey and what kind of marketing you need to do continuously with them, right? That is something that you will end up focusing a lot on. Whereas B2C, the product itself is not very expensive, so the customer makes up his decision. The decision cycles are much shorter, and therefore the sales cycle itself comes down. So the number of marketing interventions that you do will be lesser per sales cycle. But both are equally exciting. There is a general misconception that B2C tends to be more exciting than B2B, but take my word, B2B is equally exciting, especially when you really want to build your brand on the basis of a strong marketing message. It's very exciting to be in that field as well.
True. I completely agree on that, Mr. Sundar, because being an entrepreneur and being in the B2B business, I mean, I also run another business which is into B2B, and I find it very exciting, as well as, when I think about the B2C, the vast market, you just have to reach out to so many people. That is another exciting, journey altogether. The strategies are different, the way you think is very different, because there it's a volume. Here it's not volume in terms of the reaching out to the customer, but it's again the sales cycle is more, the ticket size is more. So strategies are different, but the core philosophies are almost same, and the excitement level which you say, marketing is all about excitement, which I also connect, being in that marketing domain. And in that way, if you ask in leadership role, no matter which role you are, if you are excited and enthusiastic about certain things, I feel the quality of that the work is different. Put one flavor of your consciousness, like the excitement and enthusiasm, it's completely different, right?
Absolutely.
But that is what it excites me to talk to people like you, the marketing people, the marketing fraternity. It's always dynamic, it's always young, and it's always thinking about the future and thinking about the masses ahead, and that is where the whole vibe comes.
Absolutely.
So according to you, how do marketers should balance between experimenting with the new and innovative marketing techniques which are coming versus investing in better adoption and value from the existing traditional medias? So technologies and other things are coming, right? So how do the marketers balance? It is a very crucial point for any marketer.
See, I think very importantly, Devleena, this is a dilemma which a marketer always has. Should he do something new or perfect the existing thing so that he gets the best return on investment, is something that he's got to always do a balancing act. Unfortunately, there is no formula which says that you must or must not do either one of them. If so, how much? It's a lot of judgment that you will have to make, and I deliberately use the word judgment and not measurement, because when you're trying out a new medium or a new technology, much data might not be available. So you will have to use your judgment to say, okay, I am interested in this, I am going to experiment, I understand my consumer well, and I think this will make sense, and go ahead with it. So when you say balancing, I would say, Devleena, a marketer should first of all be very inquisitive about what's happening. It's a very important aspect about a marketer. So let's say you are running a hospital chain, right? I think you've got to be you've got to be very inquisitive about what's happening in shipping, right? So one might think shipping and hospital management are very different thing, but you never know what you're going to pick up from there, right? Let me stay on that example of hospitals. 20 years back, somebody got the idea that when you're looking at hospitals, you can also provide that kind of a care along with luxury. So if you can combine luxury and healthcare, is what you see right now as the advent of the corporate hospitals, which came in at that point in time. So people said, okay, you're getting cured, but there are you can also do that by providing the most comfort to your patients, and not necessarily think about like a hospital. Why not think about hospital like a luxury resort, for instance, so that people feel good about the treatment that they're getting and have a genuine desire to get cured. So if you just look at this, I think you learn a lot by looking at people from another industry. Now coming to why am I saying this is, if you're inquisitive, even when something is not very directly benefiting you, what it gives you is even without investing a rupee, you will get to know what are the new and interesting methods that are being used by other marketers. Right. And then you can make an evaluation saying, okay, look, I'm not going to spend 80% of my budget, but I'm going to pinch 5% of my budget, right, and experiment and see what comes out of it. These are what I call as controlled experiments. As I said, it's not 50% or 25%. It is just 5% of your budget. You've got to virtually cheat with yourself. Just pinch that money and keep it in your pocket and try and see whether that does make sense for you or not. At the same time, the second part, which brings me to the second part of the answer to your question about you've got to be very, very vigilant about how you're spending your budget in the so-called traditional, which means all the methods that we've already been using, and seeing whether those are giving you the response the way they should be or not. Don't take it for granted is what I would think, because many times your traditional methods just fail, right? And unfortunately the failure does not happen in a jiffy. It happens very gradually. For example, look at the television viewership. It does not fallen dramatically one fine day. Television, by the way, is still one of the best mediums to go to, and it's not fallen off. But the amount of money that you might want to invest today might be different today than compared to what it was earlier. Because your viewers come from different industries, they may all have very different views on this. That's why I'm not taking sides, whether they should or shouldn't be. But you should be aware which are the new channels which are coming in, and be ready to make that experiment. And if you want to even avoid that, I think the other way to understand is to be genuinely interested and talk to peers coming from another industry. I think as a marketer, you have to be very well networked to understand what's happening, what's interesting that's happening in another brand, even though that brand does not belong to your industry as such. You never know. You might learn something totally new from them.
That's right. And it's really a very valid point which you took, Mr. Sunder. Like, I mean, go to the cross industry, different industry, and pick it up, the different best practices, marketing practices, how others are doing. Not necessarily you have to do the same thing, but please, I mean, it's very good to know what is happening and implement. And also my another takeaway is like, keep up 5% of your budget in the experimenting budget, right? so that you are already aware like what exactly it is, and it is not going to affect you in a very larger scale.
Just one more point on this, which is that whatever you do, right, whatever you do, you should be able to quantify the benefit, right? Even if it's a little rough, because that can happen with new methods. As I said, it's not possible to measure the new methods as accurately as you can do with traditional measure, but have some measures. Don't do it without any measures, because then you will find it difficult to justify to yourself first of all before you justify to the others. It's important that in your mind you should be clear that this is worth the spend. So just a little more focus on how will you evaluate it, and how will you measure it, and how will you decide that yes, this is good or bad. Should be done before you do it, not after you do it. So yeah, that's
and also what you suggested, like be aware of your traditional media, also be vigilant about all the marketing which you're doing. It's very important, after certain time what happens, it's like okay, itna marketing budget, we just have to put it in somewhere.
Yeah,
every single time the decision should be as if this is your first time, and
very good.
The choice of your marketing mediums and each and everything, I think, should not be taken for granted, right?
Absolutely. No, that's a very valid point, Devleena. I love that thought, the way you said it, that every time it has to be new, because otherwise these become, they become like pillars, very permanent, and that can that's not always good. Yeah.
And all of a sudden you realize that you have lost so much, and as you said, like it doesn't happen in a jiffy, it just happened gradually. So all of a sudden you realize, okay, you have lost so much. So before that, just be aware, be vigilant on each and every step is one of the crucial point for every leader, not only into marketing, each and every steps.
Absolutely.
What have been your top contribution in your current organization, Mr. Sunder?
Yeah, I think it's been very new. It's my 10th day in the company. So it's been very new, but I think my contribution has been therefore quite minimal. But I think what I'm trying to do and achieve in the next few days is to put together a strong roadmap for the growth in the company, and how are we going to be growing, what is our GTM plan, and so on and so forth. So it's very interesting time when a lot of things are being sort of built grounds up. I think so far, if you ask me for my contribution in that sense, is that I think I am absolutely optimistic, and I've convinced hopefully everyone in the organization about why they need to be very optimistic about India. This is the market, the as in capital T, H and E. If you are a mobile e-commerce platform, the India is the place to be, and we are at the right market with the right offering at the right time. So just generating this optimism so far has been my contribution. But I guess I'm looking forward to building the revenues of the company, getting more and more customers to be our partners, and so on and so forth.
A lot to look forward, right? So I've been we will keep it, we will stay tuned with you, Mr. Sunder. So excited to know more about Rezolve and how it is doing. All the very best for your organization and for your new role. And I'm sure, you are going to rock it here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So what are the principles do you rely upon during the toughest moment as a CEO, and not only CEO, as a leader, and how do you balance it? Also I would love to know about how do you balance your work and life. See, being in leadership roles, you literally have to manage a lot of chaos as well as your own mind. So internal and external, management is something. How do you balance it?
Yeah. So, I think that's a good question. We live in more chaotic times now than we did maybe a few years back. As we know, the times are changing, the demands are changing. There's more uncertainty now than before. But I think the way I would look at it is leadership, I think, is all about values. right? It's really about the values that you stand for. What do you really believe in? And I sort of draw upon that inner strength all the time, and a lot of inspiration I got from my mother, who always told me, do something worthwhile. It was very it's very nice way of putting it. She never told me this is what you should be doing or that is what you should be doing. She never put pressure on me in that sense, but she would always say that do something worthwhile and move towards excellence. And may not be perfection, but move towards excellence. This is something that she would repeat since I was a kid. So that's what I sort of come back to. And in moments of crisis or chaos or uncertainty or anxiety, whatever, I just go back to saying, okay, what's the best thing I can do right now? I'm not able to think about what I'm going to do 5 days from now, but today, what is the best I can do in order to solve this challenge, that is, overcome this challenge that is there in front of me. And also, I think being spiritually inclined definitely helps. I'm reading the Indian scriptures under a scholar and under a teacher, so that really helps stay balanced. Saying that yes, you can only do so much, but at the end of the day, there are things that you have to understand is beyond your control. So there's no point in fretting about things which you can't control. It's better to focus all your energy on things that you can control. And most of the time, when you do give it your best shot to things you can control, you don't have to worry about things which you can't control. Anyway, you can't do anything about it. And for me, I think the other thing is music. I'm a big fan of Lata Mangeshkar, whom we unfortunately lost very recently. Her music has been very inspiring, and music has got the ability to help me completely switch off from any situation. I can switch off in like few minutes into a different world. I think that happens to everyone. People may like different types of music. People may also have their own things. It may not be just music, but something that they're really passionate about and something that transports them into another world. Like maybe somebody loves working out, somebody loves running. Actually, these are things which actually should be causing us trouble, isn't it? Because running is not easy, and you got to go to a gym and play. It actually sort of is something that strains your body. But imagine if that was true, we wouldn't be doing it, because despite the pain that you go through, I think you also go through the whole pleasure of letting that actually work on your mind, and it calms your mind for sure. So every people may have different things, but as a leader and people who are aspiring leaders, it's very important to find out how will they find their sense of calm at the end of it. Yeah.
I'm a strong believer of what you said. It's very, very important to be calm and relax your mind. Find your way how to relax your mind. Like, as you said, music. So for me also, it's a common, music is the best healer for me, and the moment I switch on music, I'm a different person altogether. And of course, one more common point is spiritually aligned. So I am also a little deeper into the spiritual part, and I love the concepts. I love the how life works, how mind works, and how the external world is impacting internally, and how it is responding. So love to do all those exercise internally and implement all those points in my life, and that has helped me. It's a different, if I see 6 years, 7 years back, I was a different person, and I have been meditating from past 6 years, I guess. So that's what you said, that being spiritually aligned is something which helps any human being, not only the leaders, but leaders are somebody who deals with so many people, so they gets an opportunity to implement it immediately. That's what I feel, and that is the way of life. And one more thing which I totally align with: marketing, leadership, business, and life has the same formulas. I mean, you learn one thing and you implement on any other thing. I feel it's all about life. I mean, this is how we go ahead, right? So
Absolutely.
truly, truly,
Absolutely.
yeah, I love that point. And with that, I am now moving into an interesting section, which is a rapid fire round, which will allow us to know you as a person a little more and
Sure.
answer either in one word or in one sentence as minimum as possible. So let's start with, tell me something about you which nobody knows.
I play the Indian instrument, the veena.
Oh.
I play that. I'm learning to play that. So that's something that very few people know. Yeah.
Oh, that's an amazing, I mean, I really love those Indian traditional instruments. So describe yourself in one word.
Compassionate, I would say.
I think that is an element which every leader should carry and should be prominently, carry. If you have compassion, you can actually have a lot of other things to think about. What motivates you to get out of the bed in the morning?
Just looking forward to a day when I'm working on anything, or reading a book if I'm doing that, or my office work, or teaching, or it could be gardening, or just talking to my son, or being with my family. Just work. I think that motivates me to get up every day.
Superb. So it's like it's about the excitement about each and every aspects of your life, right? I mean, putting that 100% on whatever you're doing at that time.
So exactly.
Texting or talking?
Talking any day. I would say that connects people the best.
Yes,
Yes.
that is true. Early in the morning or late in the night?
Early in the morning. I'm a early riser, so I prefer working in the morning, working out also in the morning. So morning. I'm a morning person. Yeah.
Yeah, the vibes are different in the morning. It's a different time.
Absolutely.
Biggest accomplishment of this year?
Of 2022, I would say is the whole excitement of getting my son into a medical college. He just joined and he will study to become a doctor. I think it has been something which has been a long dream of my wife and I to that we see him as a get into a medicine course. So yeah, that was very, very gratifying and satisfying for us.
Best wishes for him.
Thank you so much.
What is one leadership lessons you learned on the go as a people leader?
Treat people like the way you would like to be treated by them.
So what sort of leader would your team says that you are?
I think they will say that I'm hardworking, and they will say that I'm someone whom they can approach.
That's true. And this kind of a message when your team they gets that, okay, I have somebody who is there, I have their back and they are there to solve any kind of problem. So they also get a bandwidth to do a lot of mistakes, at the same time not repeating those mistakes again and again. And I feel that's a great relief for any team to work in a comfortable environment. And nobody has born perfect. Everybody has learned from experimenting and exploring. And at the same time, when you allow your team to use their own brain and intuitions into certain decisions, it helps them to grow, becoming the leaders of next generation. So I think that's a big empowerment for any team member.
Absolutely, Devleena. See, it actually has exactly the opposite impact. The moment you tell people that you can go and commit whatever you want and I will stand by them, it actually puts a bit of pressure on them to say, hey, I've got to be careful, because I now can't say that my boss will lose his cool. They can't say that because their boss is not going to lose his cool. He's going to support it. So whatever they're saying will actually happen. So they think twice. They think in a more logical, analytical fashion. And if they're discussing with some team and that is the need of the hour, that's a need of the business. So it's not their personal whims that they are making a decision. they made it under a particular circumstance, and I 100% will support them.
That's very true, very true. And it's very, very important for any team to be there, right? So one key learnings that you have picked up from your team.
One of the earliest teams that I worked with was in Hindustan Levers, and I had a big sales force of people whom we used to call as territory sales in charges and sales officers. The sheer diligence, the sheer ability to work hard, go to 45 shops a day and sell a particular product every single day for 40 years of their life is something that I have really learned. I admired their ability to work hard. All this happening at 45, 46 degrees Celsius of temperature, and I worked most of the time in South Market, so it was very, very warm. There were days I remember there was a day in Vijayawada when we were in a market, and at around 11 o'clock, I actually started feeling dizzy. So I was wondering, why is it that I'm feeling so uncomfortable? Just realized that the temperature that day was 50 degrees Celsius. And to be in the market, it is already our 20th shop and we had 25 more to go. But the team was just, churning away, growing away, was something which is there. Just the ability to work very, very hard. I don't think I work as hard as I should be. So that's a lesson for me all the time. Just remembering their names is something that's working with so much of dedication. I remember there was a person, if you allow me like a story. There was a person who had retired, a very senior person. He used to work with me as a sales officer, and he retired. And after nearly 5-6 years of his retirement, I called him from my landline. And I pretended to be a tea shop owner. We used to serve tea and coffee to the tea shops. And I started telling him, pretending to be a tea shop owner, saying that I'm not getting the supplies of your product. Now, it was 6 years since he had retired. He could have said that, look, I don't know why it's happening. You should talk to the distributor. I'll give you a number and you can go and talk to him. He said, which is this tea shop? I want to know your name. I want to know your number. And I'm going to come there in another 30 minutes and find out why this is not happening. 6 years after he's retired, the gentleman was, around 68 years of age at that time. And he went there and, he actually started moving when I actually disclosed who I was. And I was shocked at the dedication that he has. I think amazing to see this kind of dedication.
I mean, seriously, something... you can learn from anywhere. I mean, this kind of things, hats off. One book or podcast you would like to recommend the marketers?
The podcast I would definitely recommend is Icons Before Brands.
Icons Behind Brands. Yes, I'm sure the kind of content which we are getting from people like you, Mr. Sunder, I'm sure it is going to be one of the go-to podcasts for any marketers. I'm very sure about that.
Exactly. I mean, that's one great. That's one thing I would definitely recommend. The other one, book, of course, there are lots of them, but one book which is very well written but unfortunately forgotten a little bit is a book called God, the Country and Coca-Cola. It's called God, the Country and Coca-Cola, written by Mark Pendergast. That's the name of the author. It's an old book, obviously written almost 30 years back.
Very interesting title altogether. It's like all different.
Yes. Yeah, and needless to say, it's a great marketing book because it's got Coca-Cola and the advent and the growth of Coca-Cola as a brand and as a company.
Your message to aspiring marketers, aspiring leaders, I would say.
One suggestion I can make to them is always learn. Keep learning. There's no end to learning. It's like a auto-delete system which works in today's world. Whatever you learned till yesterday just gets deleted, right? Markets change faster than marketers. I didn't say this. Philip Kotler said it, and I think he said it very well. Marketers take a lot of time to change, and that's not good. So I would say business leaders in general should learn. The more you learn, the more I think you will be able to make better judgment. you will be able to understand what someone else is coming from, understand new technologies instead of being scared of new technology, and really take your business in unimaginable direction.
Very insightful, Mr. Sundar. The whole conversation was full of insights, knowledge, and best practices. And I have got a lot of takeaways from this conversation, and I'm sure our viewers and listeners are also going to get a lot from this conversation. And thank you for coming to Icons Behind Brand and spending your time with us. It was amazing having you here.
Thanks, Devleena. Thanks for the opportunity. And as you said, this was your 41st podcast, and you're going to be hitting 50 soon. So I hope that you hit a 50 and then a century and so on. And you're actually giving the leaders what I just said, which is a great opportunity to learn from someone else. So I look forward to more of your sessions and follow each one of them. Until then, God bless, and
Thank you so
keep learning
much.
and keep teaching. Thank you.